All right. All right. So let's get right to it. As you guys know, I don't like to overwhelm you. Not anymore. Like I said, I was going over some stuff and I was like, I'd be doing too much sometimes. The brain can only absorb so much. I think if we take our time and we go through it, because there's no rush. There really is no rush into what we need to learn and what we need to understand about the Most High. There's always going to be something. And especially because he's made it known to us that we don't know things and we're lacking understanding in so many different areas. And for us, it takes humility, and so we're humbling ourselves. And one of the things that I'm learning is that I have to humble myself in order to be be a brother to you. Yeah, I teach, but I'm before I'm your teacher, I'm your brother. And as your brother, I want to make sure that I don't do anything to offend you or to make you upset in any kind of way or try to, minimize anything that you've done or said, but to try to help us encourage one another, because that's what a brother does. Our Torah portion, because that's what we do, we study Torah, right? We don't get all emotional about the Bible, right? We accept the Torah for what it is. And this week's Torah portion is called Sa. We've done this in the past. This is another cycle that we've gone through. I think in my last time that I taught it, we talked about the mind, we talked about the heart, and we talked about why it's important to follow the command. Also, in the teachings that I've done in the past, I told you that everything begins with the command. Everything begins with the command. We cannot have any responses to the Most High without a command, and we have to know what those commands are. Okay. So this week's Torah portion is about Zah. And Zah means a command. It means to give an order. And so as you read, it says, give this order, which is this command, is Zah to Aharon and his sons. So this week's Torah portion is isolating these commands to Aaron and his sons. And also too, he speaks about tell the children of Israel, let them know this, let them know that. But the order, the command is given to Aharon and his sons, which they are the family that he chose to be the representatives of the children of Israel, the mediators between the Most High and his people. So he gives them a law, which we know that a law in Hebrew means the Torah. Okay. He gives them the instructions for the burnt offerings. He gives them instructions for literally everything on how he wants them to do it. Okay. So we understand that the order or the command is directly connected to how the Most High wants the Torah to be given. Okay. So you see that there's a Torah for offerings. They call it a law, but it's the Torah, it's the instructions. How do I want this to be brought to me, and which way should it be done? How often it should be done. And so we understand that in this in particular chapter and verse, it talks about the Olav, which is the offering of ascent, the one that elevates a person to the level of going closer to the Most High, drawing near to him. It said something about the firewood upon the altar all night long until morning, meaning that this offering shall be there. And also talked about how the altar should always have its fire burning, and they were responsible for that. Again, the law is the Torah, it's the instructions. And so in the latter part of your Torah portion, it talked about the instructions for the burnt offering, the grain offering, which is the mincha, the sin offering, and the guilt offering. Last week, we did not talk about the sin offering and guilt offering because I didn't have enough time to talk about those offerings. And I said I would discuss it later with you. And also to the consecration offering, which Aaron and his sons had to do in order to be installed into the service of the Most High for their peace offerings, which Yahweh had ordered Moshe on Mount Sinai. So what you read this week was not about something that he got after he came down from Mount Sinai. These were the instructions that he gave to Moshe while he was up on the mountain of Mount Sinai. See? And when he was telling them, well, when you guys present your offerings to me, which are your teruma, this is what I want. I want the males, I want the females, I want the goats. And so it's breaking it down. So what we learn from the Torah is that the Most High doesn't put everything in an order that, consecutively. What he'll do is he'll tell you some things and then he'll wait and then he'll tell you something else later. And there's a reason for that. Okay. I want to deal today about the individual among the people that commits a sin. inadvertently. We want to bring more clarity to how our relationship with the Most High works. And we need to understand what is sin and how it works when it's done inadvertently. Doing something against the commandments, because that's what the mitzvot is. The mitzvot are the commandments of Yah. So the zah is the commandment. The mitzvah are the commandments. Okay. So one is the order and one is the orders. So here, there's the word zah right here. This me right here, the M-I that you see right there. In Hebrew, that means who? H or W-H-O, who. And this oath right here means plurality. It means more than one. It's feminine. Okay. Okay. So the reason why it's feminine is because the soul is feminine. And so when Yah talks about the kata, which we talked about last week a little bit, it is missing the mark, right? And it's about how the soul, so the individual that he's talking to is not just the flesh of a person. He's talking about the soul of a person who does something inadvertently. And we're going to discuss what this is, because sin is not this inadvertent. It's how the sin is performed. And we need to know that, because we've been told by other religions, by pastors, by preachers, by our parents, by a whole bunch of people that really don't know what they're talking about. They really don't know, because they don't understand the language and they don't understand the culture. So we need to break it down so you can find out whether or not you and I are in alignment with the Most High. Are we doing something intentionally? Or are we doing something inadvertently? Okay. So these are the commandments of Yah. So they're not anybody else's. They belong to him concerning the things which should not be done. He's guilty. Again, that word right there, guilty, is a sham. And this one up here, the sin right here, is called a kata. Okay. And we briefly covered them. I want to talk about inadvertently. So there won't be any question about how one commits a sin, or regardless to if he did do something that was inadvertent, which we're going to get into, the Most High is letting us know that that person is still guilty. Okay. They're still guilty. They still have done something that the Most High said that is a sin. So you can do something, you could commit a sin inadvertently. Okay. But you can also commit a sin on purpose. The people that commit sins on purpose with intent, those are the ones that are going to definitely be cut off from their people. And ultimately, their names are going to be wiped out and they're never going to exist again. Okay. In the book of Kings, chapter number 8, I don't have the book up here, but this is what it says. This is from King Shalomo. It says, if they, who the people of Israel, sin against you, for there is no one who doesn't sin, right? So we all know this. We've all heard this before. There's nobody that doesn't sin, and you're angry with them and you hand them over to the enemy so that they carry them off captive to the land of their enemy, whether far away or nearby, doesn't matter where the location is. Then if they come to their senses in a land where they have been carried away captive, turn back and make their plea to you in the land of those who carry them off captive, saying, we sinned, we acted wrongly, and we behaved wickedly. I wanted to bring this out because we heard that everyone's a sinner, and it's true. Everyone does sin, but it's not the sin that the problem is how you do the sin. That's the sin is not the problem, because we're all sinners, okay? So we're all going to make some mistakes, okay? We're all going to do things. But here, it seems like the Most High is saying through the king that when you go and you're held captive in the lands where you are, I need you to come to your senses about your sins. I want you to make a confession about it. I want you to make a plea to me. And I want you to say something. This is what we have to say. And if you and I are not willing to say these words, that we've sinned and acted wrongly and we behave wickedly, that means that we're not willing to change. Okay, so we have to acknowledge what the Most High has said. Okay, and we have to acknowledge that the people that have gone against him, because as we see in this text right here, a result of our not doing what he says, a result of even our our actions, it causes certain things to happen. And in this case, he's talking about when they're taken captive to another land, whether nearby or far away. So it doesn't matter. And this is going to be the solution that he's saying. He said that you have to say that you're sorry. He says, if in the land of their enemies who carried them all captive, they return to you with all their heart and being and pray to you toward their own land, which you have gave to their ancestors, toward the city you chose and toward the house I have built for your name. Then in heaven where you live, hear their prayer and plead and uphold their cause and forgive your people who have sinned against you. I'm going to just pause right now. So in your Torah portion this week, you found that it always talked about the priest is going to make atonement for you and you're going to be forgiven. The priest is going to make atonement for you and you're going to be forgiven. So it's always about Yah wanting to forgive us. He wants to forgive us. He said, I can forgive you. I can wipe away your sins like it's nothing. It doesn't matter. I don't have to kill anybody for that. Okay. I can forgive you like I forgave Nineveh. I can't. But you have to do something. You have to turn from your ways. You have to acknowledge that you went against me. You have to come to your senses. You have to pray. You have to make a plea. Okay. You have to say the things that you have done in order for this relationship to be brought back back together and to be reconciled with one another. So even in every case that we find in the Torah about there being a situation between two individual parties and there's something that's wrong, there's always going to be somebody in that relationship that's right, and there's always going to be someone who's wrong. There's always going to be someone who's righteous, Sadiq, and there's always going to be someone who's Hara. And that's the case. So in this case, we know that you and I are Hara. We're the people who have done that which is wrong. We've been practicing that which is wrong. And I want to give you a little bit of confidence today to know that, hey, even though I've been doing what's wrong, even though I'm guilty, the Most High wants to forgive me. That's what he wants. He says, forgive their transgressions, their twistedness, and their perversion, which they have committed against you, and give them compassion in the sight of their captors, so that they would show compassion toward them. For they are your people, your inheritance, whom you brought out of the land of Mizraim, out of the flames of the iron furnace. I want to introduce you to the word shagaga. Shagaga. Okay. Shegaga. Shagaga. Okay. Shagaga means inadvertent. It means to make a mistake, but we need to find out what the root is, because in every Hebrew word there's a root, okay, meaning a foundation of the word. Now we're talking about agriculture here, okay? So the first letter of that word shagaga is the sheen, okay? And the sheen means the two front teeth. How do they come with the two front teeth? When looking at this letter, do you guys see any teeth?
Yes.
Yes, in ancient Hebrew, this is what the letter looked like this. So when you look at that, all they've done is put some curve on it. They might have wrote it a different way. But this one right here is a tooth, and that part is a tooth. This is the tooth, and that's the tooth. This is the tooth, and that's the tooth. See, right here. You see? So the two teeth, right? So so think about this. I don't want us to go too fast. I want us to understand. The Hebrew language gives you the pictures, because when I talk about a picture of the two teeth, this letter just represents what the picture was. Okay, so they've created a script, a writing, a handwriting style to remind you of what the ancient letter looks like. So right now, this looks like a W or a shin right here. It looks like the same thing, okay? But it's the two teeth, the two front teeth, right? So what do you do with the two front teeth?
You chew, bite.
Yeah, you chew or you press, okay? And you can use that for pressing, or you can use it for pressure, okay? That's what the two front teeth are. That's what they're used for, right? Let me pull it out right quick. Talks about pressure. It doesn't make sense for us to learn about English words if we don't understand what the Hebrew is. The Hebrew is going to give you more in-depth understanding to why he's saying what he's saying. So when you got those two teeth, it has this idea of double because there are two of them. Okay. And don't worry, it's going to make sense. And it means doing something twice because there's two of them. Okay. Twice, double, right? Two times, right? That's what it means. That's what that letter means. It means the two front teeth. It means doing something double. It means twice, right? The next letter that's part of that word shagaga is the gamel. And the gamel has to do with the foot. When you look at this letter, do you see a foot? Where are the feet in this letter?
The bottom
Right
two.
here. Yeah, the bottom two right there. Okay. You guys see that? That's the feet. Our word shagagai has two gimels. It has two gimels in it. Okay. Shagaga. Okay. It has two gimels. See? So if it has two gimels, if I connect those two together, right, the two gimels, then how many feet do I have?
4.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you got 4 feet, then what are you?
An animal.
Thank you. Yeah. See, what I'm doing is I'm looking not for the right answer. What I'm looking for is for us to think. Okay. Because we're talking about agricultural terms here. Okay. So this has 4 feet because there's two of them. There's two gimels. And 4 feet means an animal. You know, and more specifically, the type of animals, what kind of animals are you think we're talking about?
The ones you sacrifice, like sheep.
Yes, the ones you sacrifice. See how we're building upon the Torah portion? Remember last week we talked about the internal organs, which have to do with your emotions and have to do with how you and I are supposed to be like that animal. You know, the kaliyot, the liver, and the 2 kidneys and the fat. Remember we talked about what the fat meant? Now we're talking about the feet. We're talking about the walking. All right, so check this out. So that's correct. And so you use your feet to travel, right? So that's what the feet do. They help you walk and go from one place to the next. And this is all the letter Gamil. And of course, the letter Gamil in English would be the letter G. And it has the same sound. That's why they call it Gimel. G, 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 like in good. Okay. See? So this sound is exactly the same as this sound. They're both exactly the same. The letters are just different. Okay. The letter G by itself, if you saw the G in English, you would just say it's a G. And it just gives you that G sound. And you put whatever other, vowels you want and other consonants to make a word like great or good, or gold, whatever. Okay. This one here is the same sound, but we are seeing that the letter actually has significance in terms of how it works in agriculture with animals, and it works with people, and you use your feet to travel. Now, when we in the Hebrew culture, when one is traveling, they had to travel from one place to the next. And when they were traveling, they weren't like us. They didn't have cell phones and, walk around with just your phone in your hand or an Apple Watch or whatever. They actually had to have something in their hands when they were carrying something. So think about this for a second. The culture itself in Hebrew, what were they walking around with? What did they carry most of the time?
A staff.
Yeah, they
Wow.
carried a staff. Yeah, but when we talk about agriculture, where do they spend most of their time?
In the field.
Thank you. Who just said that? Was that you, Cisco? It's in the field. It's in the land. So when they're in the land and they're in the field, they're gathering and they're carrying things. Okay. And so anytime you're carrying something, according to the ancient Hebrew culture, you're carrying what they call a burden. Okay. So the root of our word for shagaga, okay, shagaga, meaning making a mistake, has to do with this idea of a double burden. A double burden, meaning that you have made, you've done something, because if it's a double, that means there had to be a single first, right? So you'll have a single burden, and then, but this talks about a double burden, right? So you carry a single burden. You carried it from point A to point B, right? You did something at one time, and you did it one time. But now with a shagaga, it's not a single. You didn't do it one time. How many times did you do it?
Twice.
Double. You did it twice. If you have to do something twice, why do you have to do something twice?
Because you didn't get it right the first time.
You didn't get it right the first time, and you made a mistake. You've done something in error. So now you got to go back and do it all over again. In my former life as a what they call I don't want to use the wrong word. I was not a project. Well, I was a project manager, but I was an apprentice at one time, and I was working under a journeyman. And he told me, he said, you know what? He said, if you ever make a mistake, the true masters of work are the ones who make a mistake and go back and fix it. They can fix their mistakes. Okay. So if you make an error, no one will ever really know about it if you fix it. If you can fix it, that's the master. Because even masters make mistakes. Even the best journeymen, they made mistakes, but they can fix them. That's where the mastery comes in. That's when you're deserving of being a journeyman, if you can fix your mistake. Because sometimes you may measure something wrong. You may, have the wrong mixture. And then, or it might be a job that's blown up, and then you got to go back and make it right if you know how to make it right. Or you had something that it was an oversight that went over your head. So you have to be able to make it right. So the point of a shagaga or a mistake is saying, hey, look, I made a mistake, but I can go in and I can fix it. So what Yah's talking about, listen, everyone, the Most High is saying, if you do something in error, because I know you're going to make mistakes. I know you're going to do something. I know you're going to err. I know you're going to veer off the path. I know that you're going to do something wrong. So I'm not looking, what you would say for a person who doesn't make a mistake. I'm not looking for an animal not to go off on the wrong path. I'm not looking for the cattle not to, they're always to obey. I'm not looking for that. That's ridiculous. You see, that doesn't make sense, not in this world. So the world that we live in is the world that's full of errors. It's full of mistakes. But the bottom line is, what I want you to do when I bring it to your attention, you're supposed to find out, what do I need to do to make it right? That's what we're talking about. Okay. And this word shagaga has this idea of being doubtful. Okay. And I said, well, what do you mean by being doubtful? I mean, you're making an error, you're making a mistake. It means that you weren't really sure about what you've done. It means in some way or another, you weren't really sure about it. And we find that in our way that we live our lives today. Okay, so shagaga means to leave and veer off the path. Okay, so when I brought out the animal of the 4 legs, which are these 2 G's right here, which are the 2 gamels. Okay, this is the 2 gamels right here, which is the 4 legs. It's really talking about how one is to leave the path. And usually we leave the path because we become doubtful of our direction, because we sense something that we want to do something differently. We're not too sure. So that's why we leave the path. So shagaga means to veer off the path. It means to make a mistake. So when we talked about, Yah says, if anybody does something inadvertently, he's saying if anyone makes a mistake or errs in their way, they're still guilty. right? But I want you to think about what you need to do to get back on that path. I want you to get back on the path, okay? So the Shagaga is really talking about a sheep. That's what it's talking about. That's what it's talking about. These two letters right here, forgive the thing. These two letters right here are talking about the sheep, because the sheep are the ones who go off of the path. They're the ones who've gone astray. And guess what? It's not on purpose. It's not. Okay. Somebody tell me, why would a sheep go off, decide, or how does a sheep, just think about it for a second. I know you're not a shepherd or anything. We don't really deal with sheep all the time. But why would a sheep go off the path?
Following others.
Wow. Wow. Following others. Excellent. Following others, following other sheep, because they're very social. They hang out with each other. Sheep also, too, you guys, they're frisky, right? So they like to play and stuff, right? So they don't pay attention too well. Okay, so they don't pay attention. And also, too, with their eyes, if their eyes haven't been trimmed, you know, the wool, their eyes are covered, so they don't see as well. You see? So sometimes they can fall into a ditch because they don't have the vision that they need. They don't have that awareness, right? But I really like what you just said, Cisco, about following others. That's a big part of it, is following others. Or if it's not only being following others, but it's being led by a shepherd that doesn't want to bring the sheep to where they need to go. Okay. And there's bad shepherds out there. But the Most High made it clear to us in the book of Ezekiel. He said that you, my sheep, the sheep in my pasture, are the human beings. We're sheep to the Most High. That's why he calls us his flock. I'm your Elohim, says the Supreme Master Yahweh. You're my sheep. Okay. So what has happened to Yah's sheep is something pretty amazing. Just as a shepherd looks after his flock when he finds himself among his scattered sheep, so well, I will look after my sheep. I will rescue them from all the places where they were scattered. When it was cloudy and dark, I will bring them back from those peoples, gather them from the countries, those countries, and return them to their own land. So we as his people, we're sheep. We're not in our own land. We're not in our own pastures. We're not being fed by Yah. He's not feeding us here. Then I will let them feed on the mountains of YISRAEL by the streams in all the livable places of the land. This is very telling about what our situation is, because right now we're scattered. And again, the Shagaga means to veer or to err off the path. The path in which you and I need to understand is the one that is ancient, okay? So in the book of Isaiah, chapter number 64, it says, no one has ever heard, nor ear perceived, no eye seen any Elohim but you. This is a prayer that Isaiah is making to the Creator. He says, you work for him who waits for you. You favor those who were glad to do justice and those who remembered you in your ways. When you were angry, we kept sinning. Is this deliberate? If we keep your ancient ways, we'll be saved. See, I was accused one time of saying, you know what? You're going back way too far. What you're talking about is too ancient. You're talking about the old biblical time, the biblical ways of doing things. Do you know that's the way the Most High said that's the only way that you're going to be saved? If you and I are not following these ancient, the Olam, okay, the Olam way, the path in which Yah has prescribed, the path that the Most High has designated for us, then you and I won't be saved. You see? So we got to be careful if we're on the Shagaga, if we're erring away from Yah by following others, or just being led by somebody else, or being led by others, or another shepherd. See? All of us are like someone unclean. All our righteous deeds are like a minstrel rags. We wither. All of us like leaves. And our misdeeds blow us away like the wind. In your Torah portion this week, it talked about Yah saying that you have to cleanse yourself. You can't be around me if you're tameh. That word unclean means tameh. It means to be filthy. Okay. Here in Isaiah 64, in that same chapter that he's praying to the Most High, he brings it to our attention that we're withering. We're becoming nothing. We're becoming like a naval, a dead animal. So just like the leaves die, animals die, and then we die. We die when we live in a way that the Most High says that I don't want you to live. Your misdeeds are just going to blow you away. So what causes us to die before we should is our behaviors and what we do. That goes to not just, hey, this imaginary spiritual thing, but it's how we eat, is what comes out of our mouth. What are we saying? Everything has a frequency, right? So we have to do what's right. But now in our situation of being in exile, we know that we're unclean. Yah promises us to bring us out and to clean us. Okay. Your Haftarah this week said the word of Yahweh came to me, human being, again, back in Ezekiel. When the house of Israel lived in their own land, they defiled it. That means they made it tameh, they made it unclean by their manner of life and their actions. Their way before me was like the uncleanness of a nidah, which is a menstrual cycle. Okay. So in a woman's menstrual time, she is supposed to be set apart. Right. So this ain't putting people on blast or women on blast. What it's saying is the nation of Israel is like a woman to the Most High. And he's saying that when she's in this time of her uncleanness, I have to put her away. Okay. In the Torah, it says that she has to be put outside the camp until she's been made clean again to be brought into the camp. Okay. So this separation and this uncleanness and the defilement is happening to us, and he associated with our manner of life and actions. Okay. So the Most High doesn't want us in this situation. He says, therefore, I poured out my fury on them because of the blood that they have shed in the land, and because they defiled it, meaning made it with their idols. I scattered them among the nations, dispersed them throughout all the countries. I judged, past tense, them in keeping with their manner of life and actions. Now, you and I would say, or some people would say, well, hey, does this apply to you and I? Yes, it does. And I'll tell you the reason why. The Most High is giving us all the coordinates about what he has to do and what he's going to do to us. Okay. So when he's scattered us, Yah is the one who scattered us among the nations. Yah was the one who's done it. If Yah is the one who's done it, he is the purpose why he did it. He did it because of the way that we lived our lives and our actions. And therefore, we have to be careful of those things. The shagaga, again, are the errors. And I want to point out a few errors to you that are very important that you need to remember. Okay. Because in our Torah portion, you say, well, that's Aaron giving the children of Israel to bring the animals and all that. It doesn't apply. No, here it is. The shagaga are these are the errors. And you're going to find these errors in the New Testament. Just like Cisco moments ago is by following others. And this is the reason why people in our family, friends, and associates are following others. And the reason why they're following is because they have misinformation. When you have misinformation, and you're going to follow other people, and you're going to do that which is wrong, you're going to err off the way. You're going to go astray. See? So this is what we need to see. Okay. When they came to the nations where they were going back to Ezekiel before I go into the New Testament, when they came to the nations where they were going, they profaned my holy name. So that the people said to them, these are Yahweh's people who have been exiled from his land. Let's pause there for a moment. In your Torah portion, the Most High talked about being set apart. And the reason why he was talking about being set apart is because his name, his set apart name, is what he's talking about. Everything that belongs to Yah has to be set apart. The altar had to be set apart. The temple had to be set apart. Aaron and his sons had to be set apart. Did you guys notice something? Did you notice that? Let me ask you a question. Were they anointed before they gave the sin offering or after?
Before.
Before. So Yah set them apart and he made them kadosh before the sin offering. That's interesting, isn't it? So he poured on them and anointed them with the set apart oil to make them kadosh. Moshe anointed the altar. He anointed everything and set it apart. And then he dealt with the sin. He didn't deal with the sin first and say, well, let's do a sin offering so you can be right, so you can be set apart. So that tells us something. Yah has a process. Oh, praise be to the living Elohim. If Yah is saying that the way that they're installed is I got to set them apart, kadosh means to be set apart. I have to set them apart first, and then I'm going to deal with their sin. I'm not going to deal with the sin and then try to make them set apart. So because of that way that Yah looks at that, you and I need to understand what he's trying to tell us. What Yah is saying to you and I is this: you guys are worried about your sin. You put the cart before the horse. You're saying that I'm concerned with your sin. No, I'm concerned with my name. I'm concerned with what you're doing to me. That's what I'm concerned with. That's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about my name. Okay. I use that word concern, but I'm not making an error. I said concern. I know this says here, but I'm concerned about my set apart name. That's not true. That's a mistranslation. Yah is concerned, but he's in here when he says this, it's not. And I'll explain it to you. What Yah is saying is the most important thing to me is kadosh. Your sin is not primary. Your sin is not primary. Okay? Because if you sinned against me, it was a mistake. So how do I look at mistakes? How do I look at the shagaga versus looking at intentional? I look at them completely different. I know that you're going to make a shagaga. I know that you're going to err. I know that you're going to go astray because that is what you are. You're like a sheep. You're going to make a mistake. You're going to follow other people. You're going to do these things. But what I'm really concerned with is the kadoshness. I'm concerned with me being set apart. I'm concerned with those things that belong to me. So the primary thing and the first thing that Yah wants to deal with foremost is his name. That's the first thing that Yah is talking about. Okay. He's not making your sin the priority like the New Testament. That's a shagaga. That's an error. That gets you off the path. Okay. It says, but I'm concerned. That right there is a mistranslation about my set apart name. That's not true. Not in this text. It's not true. Let me explain it. He says, which the house of Israel is profaning among the nations where they have gone. So the children of Israel profaning his name among the nations. Let me ask you a question. Who sent us to the nations?
Yeah.
Yeah. So did Yah know that you were going to profane his name when you got here?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So when you think about it, if he sent, see how see why English is a problem? Because this is a contradictive statement. On one voice, we're saying, and let me just show it to you again. Well, I want us to start thinking. On one side, it says that, where are you? Path. Misdeeds, manner of life, Father. Okay. Okay. On this same chapter, it says, I scattered them. I scattered them among the nations. They defiled their land, so I scattered them. I dispersed them. Right? Who's the I here? I judged him. I scattered him.
Yahweh.
Yah was that, right? So let me ask you something. Did he send us here to profane his name?
I don't think so.
No, you're right. He did not send us here to profane his name. That would be what they call it, counterintuitive. It wouldn't make sense. But when we read it in English, we're thinking, yeah, he sent us here. And then he says, you guys are the ones who defile my name. They profaned my name when they went to the nations. Yes, that's true. They did. Y'all didn't send us here to profane his name. We profaned it by osmosis. okay, by just being here, okay? Because why? Because of our actions and our manner of our life and our conduct. It's what's caused us to profane his name. Let me explain the mistranslation. It says, but I'm concerned about my set apart name. Well, if you were concerned about your set apart name, why did you send them into exile? See, that don't make any sense. If Yah was concerned about his reputation, why would he allow us to profane his name? Why would he send us here to profane it? That makes Yah weak. Yah didn't say I'm concerned. He never said that. Let me explain. If Yah was concerned, like the English said, then these words that you have here in the Hebrew wouldn't be here, okay? These are not the words that are used for concern, okay? Concern means to think about, it means to give attention to, and so forth and so on. So the first thing is, Y is and, as you know, that right there, the aleph is I, okay? Then you have this word here called Kamal, C-H-A-M-E-L. Kamal. That's the CH, that's the M, and that's the L. Okay, this is just the vowels right here. I don't know why this pen is doing this. All right, so Kamal. So he says why ekmal. Okay, so why ekmal? What does Kamal mean? Well, you look here. Kamal right here, Kamal is a verb, it's an action. The action that he's saying, the verb of the action is to spare, to have pity and to show compassion on. That's what Kamal means. This I right here, and that's an aleph, means I will. You guys who've been in my Hebrew class know I'm telling you the truth. And I will what? Spare, pity, and have compassion. That's what that says. It doesn't say, but concern for my name. He's not saying that. Okay. Now we got to figure out, this right here is called all shame. This means we're going to deal with the one that's highlighted, all, because that means on and some upon. Okay. So it's a preposition and it means upon, on the ground of, according to, on the account of, or on the behalf of, right? Concerning, besides, in addition to, together with, beyond, above, over, by, and on, and towards, and to, and against. Okay? Listen, he's saying, and I will have compassion, spare, and pity on the grounds, and on the account of, and on the behalf of my set apart name. That's why I'm going to spare you, because I did not send you there to profane my name, because whoever profanes my name shall be put to death. So look, house of Israel, I'm not doing this for your sake. I'm not just doing it, I'm going to have mercy and compassion on you because of my name, because you deserve to die. I don't set people up to go against me. I don't set people up to sin against me. I don't put you in a position for you to sin against me. That's a lie. The lie that you've been told is that, hey, he sent us here. We're the ones that he caused us to sin against him. No, he didn't. You and I have done this. Our ancestors have done this. Because his name is set apart, everyone, because it is Kadosh, you're going to find out next week in your Torah portion that Yah's going to kill Aaron's sons. You're going to find out that he's going to kill people because of them profaning his name. You and I should be terrified. You should be terrified at the idea that you and I have profaned the great and the terrible and awesome name of Yah. He's saying, I don't have it up here. I didn't finish with the text. He says, I'm not doing this for your sake, O house of Israel. I'm doing it for the sake of my name. I'm not going to show you mercy and compassion and pity because of any good that you've done. I'm going to do it based upon my name, on behalf of my name. So it's just not like he's just concerned that you were just going against him. No, I'm going to have compassion. See, so when you look at that, this is where the mistranslation happened. They included, well, concerning. That's not true. This is based upon what? I'm going to show mercy and compassion based upon what? Upon my set apart name. We need to be thankful that Yah's name is set apart. You see? Because what's in his name? Well, let's see. What does Yah say his name is? I'll just give you one thing. He says his name is full of what? I'm full of compassion. Yah is merciful. I don't know, this pen just won't work, you guys. He's merciful. Yah's full of mercy. He's full of compassion, you guys. So that's the reason why he says that I'm going to show you compassion is because of his name. If Yah wasn't our Elohim, I would never receive any compassion. We wouldn't receive any pity. We wouldn't receive any mercy. So the people that are going against the Most High on purpose, after they have been brought to their attention that they're in error, they're not going to receive this. They're going to be killed. That's what it is. I want to show you something in the New Testament. The error that's in the New Testament, the mistranslation that's in the New Testament. Paul said this. This is somebody that the children of Israel have been following for centuries now. They've been following him for thousands of years. It says, as the Tanakh puts it, there's no one righteous. How many of you guys heard this? Have you not heard this? Somebody tell me that you've never heard this. Have you heard this?
I've heard it.
Yeah. Oh, there's no one righteous. No, not even one. There's nobody that understands. No one seeking. They have their theos, G-O-D. All have turned away and at the same time become useless. There's no one. No one who shows kindness. Not a single one. I've been hearing that all my life. That there's no one righteous. There's no one who understands. There's no one who's seeking after Elohim. There's no one with any good in them. They're all useless. They're all depraved. They're all sinners. They're all lustful. They're all about the flesh. Let's kill the flesh so the spirit can live and walk in the Holy Spirit. This is an error, my friends. This is not true. And let me prove it. The error that we have made is idolatry. See, when you follow other gods and you're not listening to Yah, you're in idolatry. Get angry. They're going to get mad. So you don't know what you're talking about. If you're not worshiping Yah, you're in idolatry. You're an idolater. What does it mean to be an idolater? It means somebody who has a great amount of affection and admiration for someone or something. This is the reason why the Most High said that we should love him with everything. We to love Yah with all of our heart, with all of our soul. If we turn back to Yah with everything, you cannot show any admiration and attention and affection and love and confidence and faithfulness to anyone or anything more than you do the Most High. Literally, some of us our mates are your gods. You have a whole bunch of confidence in them, but you have no confidence in Yah. Some of us, your children are your gods. You admire them so much because they're cute or they're successful or whatever it is, but you won't give Yah any attention. You see, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your job. You put anything above the Most High, you're involved in idolatry. because Yah is worthy of all of our love and all of our attention and all of our admiration. We need to adore him. And that's where the problem is. When we're not doing what Yah says, we're going to err. And when that error comes to idolatry, there was a story that I want to tell you about right quick. It's about a king. You can find this in the book of Kings, 1 Kings, chapter number 14. It says, go tell Yerovam that this is what Yohei says. I raised you up from among the people and made you a prince over my people YISRAEL, tore the kingdom away from the dynasty of David and gave it to you. And in spite of this, you have not been like my servant David, who obeyed my commandments, my mitzvot, and followed me with all his heart. Yah is telling the truth so that he could do only what I regarded as right. Oh, praise be to the Most High Yah. Ask yourself the question, is Yah telling us the truth about David? Somebody answer. Is Yah giving a testimony about David? He said that David could only do what I regarded as right. It said that David followed me with all of his heart. He obeyed my commandments. Is that true?
If y'all said it.
Absolutely. Now, next question. Did David ever commit a sin?
Yes.
Yes, he did. So is Yah doing double talk here? No, he's not. Yah's not doing double talk. Yah's telling us that David is the one who obeyed my commandments. David is the one who followed me with all of his heart, in spite of the mistakes that he made. He can only do what I regarded as right. He chased after what I said. He followed me in righteousness. That's what he did. But you, Yerovam, you have not done so. Rather, you have committed more evil than anyone before you. You went and made other gods for yourself and images of cast metal to make me angry, but you shove behind your back. Therefore, I will now bring disaster on the house of Yerovam. I will cut off every male of Yerovam's line. I will cut off every male of Yerovam's line, whether slave or free in YISRAEL. I will sweep away the house of Yerovam as completely as when someone sweeps away dung until it's all gone. If someone from the line of Yerovam dies in the city, the dogs will eat him. If he dies in the countryside, the vultures will eat him, for Yahweh has said it. Now, when you hear this, you go, wait a minute. This is our Elohim, comparing these descendants in the line of Yerovam as dung, as feces that comes out of some animals behind and lays on the ground. I'm going to sweep everybody around. I'm going to have dogs eat these people up when they die. I'm going to cut them off. Why? Because of Yerovam. Because of them and because they followed him. They were involved in idolatry. Why am I bringing you here? Because Paul just said that there's none righteous. Not one. No one has ever done anything good, and that's a lie. Here's the evidence to saying that that is a lie. Now, let me give you the backdrop. The one who's speaking in this particular passage here that you see, go tell Yerovam. The one who's saying, go tell Yerovam, is a prophet that's speaking to Yerovam's wife. Yerovam's wife came because Yerovam sent her because his son was sick to the point of death. So he wanted to know whether or not the child was going to die. So he sent his wife to this prophet, and the prophet, when she came, the Most High said, oh, she's going to come and try to disguise herself, but I know who's coming. Go and tell her this. So the prophet told her to go tell your husband this, okay? So he's telling her to say all this back to her husband. Like, every one of your sons and everybody's going to die. Well, look at what you got here. He says, so get up and go home. Telling her to go to her husband. When your feet enter the city, the boy will die. What? The son, Yerovam's son, is going to die. All Israel will mourn him. They will bury him. He's the only one of Yerovam's line who will lie in a grave. Why? He's not going to be eaten up by dogs. He's not going to be eaten up by the animals and the vultures. He's not going to be eaten up. He's going to actually get buried because he alone in the house of Yerovam has in him an element of good toward Yahweh, the Elohim of YISRAEL. So the idea that Paul said that there's no one righteous, he put the word righteous here. This is a mistranslation, people. They play word games. In the book of Romans, he says there's no one righteous. That is a mistranslation on many fronts. It's not because what he said was wrong only. It's because the word that they're using right there is misquoted. He says, as the Tanakh says. So he's using the Tanakh as his source. So when you find out what the source is, you got to go back and look at the source and find out if it did say that there's no one righteous. If it's no one righteous, then why do y'all say that Noah was righteous? If there's no one righteous, why do y'all say that Abraham was righteous? Why? Why did y'all just say what he said about David if he wasn't righteous? We have to check our sources. So what did I do? And so they quoted Romans 3 is quoting somewhere. He's quoting somewhere in the Tanakh. Okay. For those of you who don't know what the Tanakh is, it's based on these three letters. What you have here, the T, the next one is the N and the K. They just put the little A's there called Tanakh. Okay. The T stands for what? Somebody tell me.
Torah.
The Torah. What does the N stand for?
Nevi'im.
Nevi'im. Somebody's been on it. The Nevi'im. Who are the Nevi'im?
The prophets.
There's the prophets. Then we got the K. What are the K?
Ketuvim.
The Ketuvim. Yes, and the Ketuvim are the writings. So therefore, the Tanakh is really the Torah, the prophets, and the writings. So again, he is lying. Why? Because what he quoted is not in the Torah. It's not in the Torah. It is not in the prophets. It's not in the prophets. It's in the writings. Well, why did he say the Tanakh? Because he's trying to get you off the scent. He's trying to direct you off of the truth. It's in the writings. And the writings are the Psalms and the Proverbs and the book of Job and other writings. You see? Because it's prophetic. If it's out of the prophets, everyone, it means that Yah said it. If it's in the Torah, it means that Yah gave the instructions to Moshe. Yah has, somebody show me in the Torah where Yah says, there's no one righteous. He didn't say that. Why did he praise Pinchas for killing Zimri and Cosby, for going against him? Why did he praise Caleb and Joshua for the only ones who stood up when they wanted to go on the land? Why? Why did he say the daughters of Zelophehad were righteous in their judgment because they wanted their inheritance of their father? You see? So if we don't know and we're not looking at this, yes, thank you, Shamayah, because of their zeal. Oh, praise be to the mighty Yah. It's the zeal that they have for Yah. And ask yourself the question, is there anyone on this Zoom class right now that is not pursuing Yahweh? That's a lie. You're here because you're in pursuit of Yah. Don't believe what these people are saying. So the word, he says, there's no one righteous. That word righteous right there, if it was translated properly, would have been Zadik. It is not there. So when you go and you look in the right here in Psalms 14, that's where they're quoting. That's where they're getting this from. Psalms 14 and Psalms 53. I didn't put 53 here because I didn't want to put too much information. You can look at Psalms 14 and Psalms 53, and it says exactly the same thing, but except for one little line where the Most High says, I'm going to repay the wicked and the evil for their deeds. Now, I want to break this down for you. So when you go today and you start telling people, say there's none good, there's no righteous, you'll understand what he's talking about. Okay? So this is for the leader by Dawid, because he's the leader. This is what Dawid said. He said, fools say in their hearts. I highlighted fools there because that's the same word that was used for the individual that withers. Remember I told you that the fool is the one who withers? Call that word called naval, or navel. Sounds like Abigail's husband, okay? But naval has to do with the noon, the bet, and the lamed, and that means to wither. That means to dry up. That means to die. So a person that's a fool is like a person that don't have any life in them. That's why he says fools have said in their hearts and their minds, there is no Elohim. They deal corruptly. Where am I at? Let me see. They deal corruptly. Okay. Their deeds are vile. And look what he says. No one, not one does what is right. No one does what is right. It didn't say this right here is that word right there is not Zadik. It's Tov. Tov is different, everyone, than Zadik. Pin, I'm getting mad. Pin. Tov right here means good or functional. Okay, that's what good means. So good is just an abstract term. The word tov means to function. So it's functional. So when Paul says that, hey, there's none righteous, it never said there was no one who is Zadik. Zadik means one who's pursuing. Okay, so let me explain this. Dawid says, fools said in their hearts that there is no Elohim. They deal corruptly. Their deeds are vile. No one does what is right, not righteous. No one does what is functional. So you got to find out who the fools are. That's what you got to find out in this text. Who are the fools? No one's ever told us who the fools are. I'm going to blow your mind today. Okay? The fools are the ones who don't do what is right. The fools are the ones who are corrupt. The fools are the ones that are vile. From heaven, Yahweh observes humankind. There, right there, that word humankind is Adam. And I know from a Hebraic perspective, Adam is not just a man. Adam is both male and female. Forgive the writing, and it's not me, it's the pen, it's the internet. So Yahweh is observing humankind. He's observing the fools of both men and women to see if anyone has understanding, if anyone is seeking what? Seeking him. But all turned aside, all are corrupt. No one does what is right, not righteous, right, meaning tov. Not a single one. This is where Paul got it. So his first mistake is this. He gives you the word righteousness, which is not tov. Tov is function. He's saying there's no one that functions well. No one on the earth. That's what he said. Okay. He's saying there's none that are pursuing Yah. Nobody. Okay. But Yah's not, you go find out who Yah's talking to. So we see that Yah's talking to the fools. Yah's talking to the fools of humanity. Yah's talking to the ones, anyone who's not seeking. They're not seeking. He said, there's no one seeking. He said, but all of what? Humanity have turned aside. All of humanity are corrupt. All. No one does what is right. No one does what is told. No one does what is functional. Not a single one. And Yah's talking about the fools of humanity. Well, let's find out who the fools of humanity are. Same chapter. Listen what he says. Don't they ever learn? Who's the they? Somebody tell me.
The fools?
The fools of humanity, male and female. All those evildoers. Who he's talking about? The fools of humanity who eat up my people. Oh, so the fools and those on the earth of all humanity and the evildoers who don't ever learn and who don't understand and who don't have an understanding about me,
are going and eating up and devouring my people. Yah's people are not included in this. Why? Why is Yah's people? Why did he say they eat up my people? Because it's a fool who doesn't know. It's a fool who doesn't understand. It's a fool who's not pursuing and seeking after Yah. It's the fool of humanity. It's the fool of the nations who are eating up and devouring my people. Because I never spoke to these fools. I've never given them anything. And that's why they're foolish. Am I saying the children of Israel don't have any fools? There's a bunch of fools in the children of Israel, but in this context, the Most High is not talking about the children of Israel. He's talking about everybody else outside of his people. Then he tells you a prophetic vision. They are there, utterly terrified. Why? For Elohim is with those who are righteous. Who's righteous? My people. You may mock the plans of the poor, but their refuge, whose refuge? My people, is Yahweh. Oh, how I wish Yisrael's salvation would come out of Zion when Yahweh restores his people's fortunes. There again, I told you before, it's not about Jacob's fortunes, it's about Jacob's captives. This has to do with the fools that have taken Yah's people that he says, there they are standing. They're utterly terrified. Why? Because Yahweh is with those who are righteous. He's with his people. So, in context, everyone, Paul is lying to the Christians. He's telling them there's none righteous. Yah didn't say that. He's saying it came out of Tanakh. No, it didn't. It came out of the Ketavim. It came out of the writings. Dawid is telling us here that Yah says this, right? He says, and he's not talking about righteousness for the people of the fools, but the righteousness of his people. So his people are righteous. Yah's people are righteous because Yah is with those who are righteous, which is my people. And you got to be a fool because you're not learning about my people. You're an evildoer because you don't know my ways. You're so stupid that you're devouring my people. And if you understood and you weren't a fool, you would know that you're going to have a day with me. And you're going to find out that I'm going to stand with my people. You're going to find out that you can sit there and you can mock the plans of my people because my people are the ones who are poor. But their refuge is in Yahweh. See? That's what it is. Yahweh's salvation is for YISRAEL. Yahweh's salvation is to restore the captives of the people so Yaakov can rejoice again and they will be glad, not the fools of the world. See? So Paul told you and me and my mother and grandmother and everybody else that there's nobody righteous. There's no one who understands. No. He misquoted this. The word there is not used righteousness. It's called there's no one good. And we both know that that's a lie because of previous teaching that we just had about that son of Yerovam. As evil as he was, the Most High said that I found in him an element of good. I found a good thing in him. I found goodness in that boy. And because I found it in the boy, yeah, he's going to die, but I'm going to let him be buried. That's my goodness towards him because he has something good towards me. See? So there is good. Good could be found. Hallelujah. He did make a clear distinction. You see? I hope you guys can see that. There can be a way which seems right to a person, but at its end are the ways of death, just like we saw with that king. He did his idolatry. He thought everything was all good. It's not. That was his way. How can that work for us? You and I could be doing something and we might think it's right. From our perspective, it might seem right. It might seem good. This is what we got to be careful about, you guys. Sometimes when we see right, we think righteousness. And often, like you just saw, Paul said, righteous, there's none righteous. I was talking about there might be seems good. Not righteousness. It might seem good to a person. It might seem like it's going to work out really nice for you, but it might be the death. And death comes in many ways. Death can be the death of a relationship. It ain't talking about you just dying. It's the ways of death, meaning that it loses. If there's death, that means there's no life in it. So it could be no life in your body. It could be no life in your relationship. It could be no life in your business. It could be no life in your health. It could be no life. It could be no life in your family. Because you think what you're doing is right. You think what you're doing is good. You're thinking, hey, this is good. If you notice, everything has been in chapter 14 of Kings, chapter 14 of Psalms, chapter 14 of Proverbs. That's how you put all the pieces together. It's in chapter 14. What is this? What does this mean right here? What are we talking about? Here's a picture. Somebody say it.
It's talking about sin and how.
Thank you. It's sin. This is sin. This is sin. So as you see, it's about hitting a target. There's plenty of arrows on here. There's 4 of them I see. All of them are not in the center. Some are on the outskirts, some on the outliers, right? It's on the target, but it's not where it's supposed to be. Missing the mark is sin. You're absolutely right, Akoti. The Shagaga is not talking about sin. The Shagaga is what leads you to sin. The Shagaga is making a mistake. Okay, so let me ask you a question. I'll put a little thing up here. Is this a Shagaga? The little,
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Is this a Shagaga?
No.
Where
Maybe
does
a
it
small
supposed to
one.
be? It could be a small one. Thank you. Remember, we can't be so concrete. It is a Shagaga because the true where you're supposed to hit is right here.
Perfection.
You want to be perfect or do you want to be halfway? Just as long as you hit the outskirts, you're good. As long as you hit these areas here, you're good. You don't care about that one. As long as you hit here, you're good. You're satisfied. At least I'm in the red. That's a Shagaga. Okay. So check this out. So you can see there are different levels and different measurements of the Shagaga. The error can be made, the mistake, there's all different. It could be a gross. And I did a Shagaga right here, that's gross. Right? How about I don't even hit the target? That's extremely gross. You see? So you're going to have different degrees of mistakes. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Okay. So you're going to miss the mark because Shlomo said there's people that are going to do the sin. So anything that's outside of here is considered by the action a sin. Anything. This right here is a sin. You made it in the red, but it's not here. That's not the target. The center is where the goal is. It's right here. That's the goal. The goal is not here on the outskirts. The goal is right here. So you got a lot of work to do, right? You said, well, the target is everything. The target is this and it's here and it's anywhere. Just as long as I hit the target. No, that's not the target. The target is right here. That's the goal. Some of us are satisfied with hitting out here. I'm still hitting the target. I'm still part of it. Guess what I'll tell you? If you're satisfied with that, that's fine. You're still missing the mark. You're still sinning grossly. Okay. Why would a person be hitting on the outside of the target and not ever hitting the red part? Why?
We're not following any instructions.
Woo! Yeah, you're not following the instructions of your instructor, your teacher. Do you think the Most High let me ask you a question. Do you think the Most High is satisfied with the arrows that are on the outside of the bullseye, or on the out, or the inside? Which one? Which one is y'all accepting?
The one that hits the mark dead
Thank
center.
you. So your Elohim is about perfection, correct?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So he's not. So listen, but even though you're going to hit out here, does he get mad? No. I know you're going to hit these. I know you're going to make a mistake. I want you to make these mistakes right, whatever degree they are. So how do you make your mistakes right? According to this understanding, what do you got to do to make your mistakes right?
Got to get up and try again.
Do it over and over again, which brings us back to our Shagaga. That means if you made a mistake, you got to do it over again and do it over again and over 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 until you get it right. As a father, I'm not accepting anything less than what my children are going to give me. I want perfection. Well, yeah, that's crazy. That's absurd. You're saying that you're not making any room for mistakes. I know they're going to make mistakes, but I'm not satisfied. Why? Somebody tell me why. Why wouldn't I be not satisfied with my daughter getting a B+?
Because you're capable of doing better.
I know my daughter can get an A. I want her to defeat whatever subject matter she has. Some people are okay with the C+. Satisfactory, you're good. No, I want an A. Not because it's for me. No, because that's who you are. Because that's what I'm after. We should be after what Yah is after. If Yah is looking for perfection, you and I should be those people to bring him what he said, according to what he said, according to the instructions. He would never be satisfied with Aharon and his sons. Instead of them doing the 7 days of the consecration, they did 6.5. I'm not going to be satisfied if I told you to bring me a bull that was a male and you brought me a female. I'm not going to be satisfied if I told you to sprinkle the blood around the altar and you didn't. Because you want me to accept what you're willing to offer me. And I'm telling you that you could do it the way that I'm telling you to do it. That's what the Most High is telling us. You're going to miss the mark. He told it to Cain, Kakwayin. He says, if you're doing what is good, there's our word again, tov. Not righteous, tov. Shouldn't you hold your head high? Meaning, shouldn't you have a different type of attitude? Exalt yourself, lift your head up. If you're doing what is good and functional. If I knew that you put forth effort, you should hold your head up high. And if you don't do what is good, if you don't do what is told, sin is crouching at the door. Meaning crouching, meaning it's extended itself. That's what that word crouching means. It's not like a kitty cat or an animal. It's talking about it has laid itself out. It has spread itself out, meaning it's given itself a little bit more space in your life. That means that instead of you hitting the goal and the target, sin is saying, no, you don't have to hit the target. What you can do is you can hit out here and I'll accept you.
You can come as you are.
Come as you are. Make the target bigger. Since you can't hit it right here, Dawid, I'm going to do you a favor. I'm going to make it bigger so I know that you have a better chance of hitting it. So I'm going to minimize what I said so you can maximize your laziness and don't want to practice. So let's just spread the target. Let's make it bigger. Let's make the goal a little bit bigger because you can't do it because you're in exile. Let me make some concessions for you because you can't keep the Shabbat the way that I told you. Let me open it up a little bit more. So to make you feel better about shooting at the target I said, because I know you're retarded. And I know you don't have it. I know that you can't perform what I told you. So I'm going to give you something I know you can't do. Does that sound like our Elohim? Does that sound like a loving father? Does it?
No.
No. But that's what the New Testament is telling you. It's telling you that you don't have the ability to do what Yah says. It says that you can't hit the target. It says that you can't practice. It says you don't have goodness in you. It says that, right? There's no one righteous. That's a lie. That's a lie. You can do it. Yah doesn't have to make the target any bigger. He doesn't have to spread it out like sin is crouching at the door and expanding itself so you can have more room for it. It wants to control you. It wants to rule over you, but you can rule over it. Oh, praise be to the living Elohim. Yah is telling this man right here, right, that guess what? You can rule over it. You can rule over sin. You don't have to make the target larger. You don't have to make the goal bigger. You could just keep practicing. You could keep doing that which is good. You could keep shooting the arrow. Just keep shooting. Keep doing what's good. Put forth some effort. Think about it. Meditate. Listen what I'm about to tell you. The word that I told you was shagaga. There's a word in Hebrew, if you reverse this word, called hagah. Out of this word shagaga, hagag means to meditate. It's just a reverse. If you reverse the word shagaga and you just take the word hagah, the same letters, this hey and this gimel and this hey again, it means to meditate. It's the opposite. In chapter number 7 in the book of Psalms, David talks about the shigion, and shigion comes from the word shagaga, from shagah, meaning to go ahead and meditate, from hagah. Hagah means that if you just mull it over, if you just think about it, if you spend some time, if we would spend some time with our bow and our arrow, which is our mouth and our words and our way of life, and we just and kind of hone in, would we be better? But some of us don't want to do that. Some of us want sin to control us. Some of us want sin to rule over us. We don't want to take dominion. You don't want rulership over this. And this is what Yah said, that you can't rule over it. Genesis chapter number 4. I already told you. All of a sudden in the New Testament, it tells you that you're not good, that wait a minute, you're not righteous. There's no righteousness in you. You don't have anything in you to pursue after the Most High. You're not pursuing. No, he wasn't talking to Israel. He was talking to the heathens. He was talking to the people who are dumb and don't know Yah. The ones who said there is no Elohim, because if there was, they would respond appropriately. They would not be treating Israel like the way that they are. You're going to have faults. All of us have faults. This is not about Yah pointing out, hey, I don't want you to have any faults. You don't have no faults. According to the New Testament, you're righteous. And because Christ died on the cross for you, he took all your faults and all your sins, and you don't have any now. You're holy. Yay. No, not here. Not here. You have faults. David said this, King David. Who can discern unintentional sins? Who can discern these shagagas? Huh? These unintentional, these mishaps, because that's what a mistake is too. It's a mishap. It's an error. Who can discern? Who can understand these things? Give a command to the Most High. He says, cleanse me. Cleanse me from the hidden faults. King David had it. The Most High said he followed me with all of his heart. David did it with hidden faults. That's what caused him to go against the Most High when he had that incident with Bathsheba. He didn't know what was lying and lurking within him. He got overconfident, cocky, and there it was. Also, keep your servant from presumptuous sins. Keep me from boiling over on different things so that they won't control me. Because these things right here can control you. And Yah just told Cain that you can rule over it. But there's things about us that we don't know about. That hidden right there is secret. There's secret. There's secrets that are within us that we don't know about. And the desire of these secret sins, oh, this pen, forget it. These secret sins or these secret faults are trying to control you. But that's the reason why David is requesting and making a desired request and a plea to the Most High for him to make him clean from it. Then I will be blameless and free of the great offense. What's a great offense? What is the great offense? The great offense is that you're saying that you know everything about what's inside of you. The great offense is for a person to stand before the Most High and say, I'm righteous without you. I can do what you want me to do without you not following your Torah. The great offense is a person to say they don't have any faults. The great offense is somebody who hasn't taken the bow and arrow and continue to shoot. Our righteousness comes from Yah. It's the pursuing of him and his laws. So you can be righteous, but you still have hidden faults. And when we deny these things and we're acting like we're closed up to correction because we see ourselves in a different light and we can't see these things, it's the things that you and I can't see are the things that Yah sees. And therefore, David says, who can discern? And we know who it is. Psalms 19 tells us that Yah gives us the Torah because it restores the soul. He talks about the mishpatim, the judgments of Yah, the kukim of Yah. They enlighten the eyes, the testimonies of Yah. All these things, they help us as Yah's servant. So this is something that we need to be aware of, is that we have hidden faults. And when you look at it, when you talk about a hidden fault, don't take it personal. Don't take the hidden fault personal. Just remember this target. Remember these arrows. Remember that your hidden faults are the things that you can't see. You're going to make a mistake. It's the shigo, right? You got to go to shigo, right? You see the word shiga right there. Shin, kim, and the oath is the plurality, feminine, talking about the soul. So the soul of us has these things. And the question is me, who? It's an interrogative, which they call it an interrogative. Who can understand? Who can understand these things that are hidden? And it's not, and they use the word cleanse, which there's another word for cleanse, but this one right here is called an naquani, right? And an naquani has the word quana in it. Okay, kind of like it means to be innocent. Innocent. Forgive the pen. Innocent. I always say, make me innocent of this, not just to cleanse me, make me innocent of that which is secret. So that's what we're looking for. So when you and I are studying the Torah and we're trying to get close to the Most High and we want to be pleasing to him, let's ask him to show me the secret things about me, my secret faults, and I want to do this with it. I don't want to just know him. I want something to happen. But the trippy thing about this is this. David asked Yah, this is an imperative, which is a command. Meaning he asked Yah, this was a desire, a command for David, that he desired this, that Yah would make him innocent. Yah can make a man innocent and he can make a woman innocent. But guess what happens when you're made innocent? You have to acknowledge Do you remember what Yah said in your Torah portion? He says that a man or a woman or a person, a soul that does something against me inadvertently, they're guilty. But he says when it's brought to their knowledge, when it's brought to their attention, they shall confess it, and then they shall do something about it while I bring an offering. So Yah's talking about us acknowledging our faults. Acknowledge your secret sins. When I bring it to your attention, don't ignore it. A lot of us don't have the courage to ask for this because there's things in us that the things that are in us that we don't want to change will require for us to make some adjustments. And we can't be us anymore. So we lose our identity. And that's that the identity that's been given to us, the identity that we've been trained up in, the identity that says that I'm going to continue to be this way, the identity that puts up walls to protect your identity against the Most High and from others, from them, and making yourself vulnerable to see that I got some problems. And I do need to change. There's some things that I don't need to worry about anymore. There's some secrets that need to be uncovered. In your Torah portion, it says that when you bring those offerings to me, you just need to arrange them in a certain manner. Most High said, cut off the legs and cut them in pieces and wash their legs and put this and then put the fat on top and then bring the bread and put this on top. Everything has to be arranged in a certain way. So arrangement for us is something we need to look at. Well, I'm not bringing the offerings. I don't have to do any arrangement. I don't have to arrange the wood. I'm not there at the altar. That's in the past. That's the ancient days. No. Torah tells us that we need to have arrangement. It means a direction. It means a positioning. And one thing that you and I need to worry about is what we're thinking. A person is responsible. And again, back in Proverbs 14. Proverbs means mishle, means to rule. A person is responsible to prepare his heart. A person is responsible to arrange their heart. Their heart is their mind, their thoughts. A person is responsible for the preparation of their mind. A person is responsible for positioning their mind in a certain way. But how the tongue speaks is from Yahweh. Woo! What is Yah telling us? He's telling us you got to do the work on your mind. You have to do this. You have to put the bow and arrow in your hands. You have to give it consideration of thought and meditate upon what I said. Because if you're meditating on what I said, you meditate on my laws. How often should we meditate on Yah's Torah? According to Dawid. I didn't have a slide. What does it say?
Day and night.
You better meditate on it day and night, because if you don't, you're going to have a higher degree of error. Because if you're not meditating, then you'll become doubtful, and then you'll err off the path. So if you prepare and you arrange your mind and your heart the way I said, then after you do that, then I've given you the tongue. I've given you the tongue. I put the tongue in your mouth. So what you can see right here is an orchestration of Yah saying, look, a soul is responsible for the preparation of their mind. I've given you a tongue to speak that which is right. So once you prepare your mind, then you can start talking the way that I want you to talk. Because I gave you a tongue. What did I give you your tongue to do? What are you supposed to do with your tongue?
You speak, you talk.
Okay, but what are we supposed to say, Akoti? What are we supposed to be saying with that tongue?
We're supposed to be praising Yah, speaking His
Ooh,
word.
we're supposed to be praising Yah. We're supposed to be executing justice between the orphan and the widow and the stranger. We're supposed to not do anybody dirty in a deal. We're supposed to give that which is right. We're supposed to teach that which Yah has said. We're supposed to tell our children about the Most High. I've given you the tongue. Proclaim the Torah, Shamayim. Say it, Akoti.
Proclaim Torah.
You proclaim it. You understand? So, do we need to seek Yah for a tongue? No, I gave it to you. It's in you. You got to do what you need to do now. Just like a person's supposed to arrange an offering, this is why you're supposed to arrange things in your life. Just like you arrange everything else when you're going on a trip. Why won't you arrange your mind for the things that I want you to do? You arrange your business, you arrange your furniture in your house the way that you want it. Why won't you arrange your heart and your mind so you can speak the words that I want you to speak? I already gave you the tongue. What else do you want me to give you? Should I take your tongue away from you where you were not able to speak? How about that? How about if humanity had a tongue, but they couldn't speak? All they did was eat like an animal or roar. How fun would that be? Huh? Think about it. The cows have the tongues, the sheep have the tongue, the goats have the tongue. Do they talk? Are they proclaiming Yah's judgments and his commandments?
No.
No. Are they given instructions by Yah on Mount Sinai?
Nope.
Yah has given everything to man, humanity. That's what you and I are supposed to be doing. What did David say in chapter number 8 of the book of Psalms? Listen carefully what the Most High said. I don't have a slide, but I know where it's at. Tehillim chapter number 8 says this. David understood something that you and I need to understand. Come on, David. 8. Guys, here are the pages. Here you go. This is what he said. Yahweh, our Elohim, how glorious is your name throughout the earth. The fame of your majesty spreads even over the heavens above. From the mouths of babes and infants at the breast, you have established strength because of your foes in order that you might silence the enemy and the avenger. When I look at your heavens and the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars, so that you have set in place, what are mere mortals that you concern yourself with them? Humans that you watch over them with such care. You made him a little lower than the angels. You crowned him with glory and honor. You had him rule what your hands have made. You put everything under his feet. The sheep, oxen, all of them. Also the animals in the wilds, the birds in the airs, the fish of the sea. Whatever passes through the paths of the sea. Yahweh Elohim, how glorious is your name throughout the whole entire earth. That's why I give you a tongue. You can speak the Torah of Yahweh. I tell us all the time about all the faults and the errors and the mistakes. Comes from one thing. You're missing that Hagag. You're missing that focus. That's what we're missing. We're missing out of focus. This picture right here, man, it just really tells me something. Think about it. You made this one, but you barely made that, and you did make this one, and I don't know which shot came first or second. This could have been the first. This could be, I mean, either way. Just by this one being right here tells me that if you continue to do this one the way that you did it, position yourself, same breath, same technique, same everything, you got to get focused for that to happen again. Some of us hit the target at different times and we're like, yay! And then we put down the bow and we don't shoot straight anymore. We're satisfied with one and we forget about all these other ones. You and I are going to have to become a perfectionist when it comes to the Torah. That's what Yah is telling us. That's what it is. Okay? There's nothing wrong with hitting the target. There's nothing wrong with hitting outside of here. These are just lessons to be learned in order for you to maintain this. So you can have what they call proficiency. You can have a better accuracy. When you have better accuracy, you can hit your target better. And then you become the best. We talked about that last week. Good, better, and best. You understand? In order to obey the commandments, because that's what we're talking about, the ba'oth, or the mitzvot, has to be the one who keeps the commandments of Yahweh Elohim, which I'm giving you. Do not add to what I'm saying, and do not subtract from it. Davarim chapter number 4. So in order to obey, you cannot obey Yah's commandments if you're adding to what he said or subtracting. Adding means that you're putting on what you think that you should add to it. Like, I know the Most High said this, but I know the Most High said this, but I don't see it that way. I know the Most High said that you have to bring the offerings to me and at the place that I put my name, but I know that he says that you're in exile right now, but don't subtract, meaning here, I don't want you to diminish. Don't chop down what I said. So don't add upon what I said and don't chop down what I said. Because if you do, then you're not obeying the commandment of Yah. Don't add to it. Don't try to add extra. If Yah says that the day is the day, don't call darkness light. Above everything else. This is in Proverbs 4. Just like Davarim 4. Guard your mind, for it is the source of life's consequences. Keep crooked speech out of your mouth, which I understand by my study that the crookedness is your arrows of your words. Your speech are your words, and those are your arrows, and your mouth is your bow. And your words and your speech are your arrows. You look at your mouth, flip it the other way, it looks like a bow. See? Banish deceit from your lips. Let your eyes look straight ahead and fix your gaze on what lies in front of you. This is huge. Pause. You and I need to fix our gaze on the target. We're often distracted by other things that causes us to lose focus. We don't want to lose focus. We want to literally keep our eyes straight ahead. The Most High tells us never to turn left or to the right. Here he says, level the path for your feet. This is something that you got to do. It ain't nothing he said. He said you to do it. Level the path for your feet. That means make it straight. Let all make it straight. So this crookedness right here is because it's not straight. So let your speech become straight. Whatever's coming out of your mouth should be a straight arrow. And it's supposed to go right to the target it's supposed to go to and have the effect that it wants. If it's crooked, you're going to miss the point, like you're missing the target. Okay, so level the path for your feet. Let all your ways be properly prepared. Discipline. Then deviate, meaning that word right there, shagaga, neither from the right or to the left. Don't err from the left or to the right. And keep your foot far from evil. It's interesting. He talks about your lips. He talks about your mouth. He talks about your feet. Wow. Wow. What did we learn today about our lips and our mouth? What's in our mouth? Oh, that's right. That's right. The two teeth. The shin, the two teeth. Oh, what about our feet? Oh no, that's the Gimel again. Oh, wow. He mentions it twice about your feet. Oh, wow. Then you won't shagaga. You won't err. You won't deviate from the path. If we continue to fix our gaze on what lies in front of us, stop looking for other stuff and getting distracted by people, places, and things. Keep your focus on Yah. And keep your foot far from that which is dysfunctional. This evil has to do with the word called Ra. And Ra is the opposite of Tov. Tov is functional. Ra is dysfunctional. That's all Ra or evil means, is to be miserable because it doesn't function well. When you and I leave the path and we go to the right or to the left, Yah says, don't deviate from the right to the left. Don't add to what I say. Don't miss what I'm saying. Then you won't err. as my little sheep in my flock. Who's in front of us? Yahweh is in front of us. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom to you. I hope you were able to understand what the Most High is telling us. He's talking to us, and he's telling us what it is. And he's saying, hey, you guys are going to make some errors. You're going to make some mistakes. Oh, Shamayim, I saw your hand up, Koti.
No, that was a hand clap.
Oh,
It's
okay.
a hand clap emoji.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Oh, there it is. It is clapping. Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't see that. I've never seen that one before, the clapping. So we do a little project called Cahoots, where you get to participate and, you know, find out how well you've done with your Torah, how well you know the Torah. And this is made by Akoti Rivkwa. And what she's been doing is she's put these little games together for us so we can learn about the Most High. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to start that. For Cahoots, all you have to do is go to cahoots.com, and they're going to ask you to play the game, and they're going to ask you for a code. It's going to pull up here on the screen. You can start recording Cisco. So it allows